Any particular questions you wish to give note to for the moment at this point? Councillor Whittam, go ahead. You're on mute.
Yeah, I know. Can we just ask Alex his comments on Councillor Burgess's presentation?
Yes. Alex?
Thanks, Chair. Concerning Councillor Burgess's question relating to construction management plan, we have looked at various aspects of the construction management for this site. The applicant actually submitted comprehensive documents that we have looked at and we have approved, and that includes the estimation of the vehicle movements for this for the construction of this site, and a lot of it, the first, which is about 15, maximum 15 deliveries per day. That will be during the demolition and enabling works. So hopefully that aspect of development tend to happen within the first 12 months. And by the time the second development is brought forward, they would have cleared most of the demolition and the enabling works. So that 15 deliveries per day would have, completely evaporated before the second development comes forward to do its demolition. So when the second development comes in, by the time they are doing their demolition, it will just be what you call the building works itself that will be taking place. So at any point in time, when you put the two together, it will just be maximum, say about 30 to 35 deliveries per day when you then combine the two. Bear in mind, at the latter stage of the first development, this hospital development, it will just be what you call the cosmetic, the fit out type of works. That will be left, and that's generally, at that point in time, it will be light vehicles, light vans that will be coming to this site. It won't be lorries, so it will just be lorries associated with the second delivery. So they'll be staggered in terms of, there wouldn't be one particular point in time where all the activities will just be combined, where you have all building works combined together, so it'll be staggered. So we are happy with that. Another thing is the developer put into place comprehensive schemes, noise suppression measures, dust suppression measures in the construction management plan. We are happy. They are comprehensive and they will cater to protect the local residents, including, in fact, when you talk about the noise suppression measures, it includes something like siting noisy equipment away from residential boundaries and so on. So we are happy with that. And another thing is the transport operators that will be servicing this site during construction, the applicants agreed that they will all subscribe to silver level membership of the freight operation recognition scheme. So that covers pedestrian and cyclists. It looks at, it gives proper safety care for pedestrian and cyclists. So they've agreed to that, all are within the planning system. So we are happy comprehensively that the applicant has indeed catered for anything we want in terms of construction management plan. Our network management team, they are happy with the routing of vehicles. Bear in mind, it would not affect the school. So they will come in via Denmark Hill. There is a vehicle storage area at the southwest end of the site where they will call up these vehicles and they will go through I've forgotten this road at the south by the railway. So they will go through that and then go through Grove Lane, and then in between the school building and I think it's, I've forgotten the name of this building, the medical building. So the vehicle will come in there and then go to the Crestmead Walk. So they wouldn't affect the operation of the school at all. or indeed the pedestrian, they will be completely separated from pedestrian and then come back onto Denmark Hill. So really there's proper separation between pedestrian, cyclists, and then the vehicular activity of this side. Another scheme they have in place as well, which we always encourage, is the consolidation of deliveries. So that's part of the method that is the construction, part of the construction method that this site will use as well. So you wouldn't have vehicles coming out of the site traveling on empty or coming in half empty. So most of the load will be properly consolidated. So we are happy comprehensively that this development, in conjunction with the subsequent one that will be approved, they can work together.
Thank you. Councillor Whittam, do you have a sort of follow-up to Alex on this one? Thank you, Alex, for that. Thank you.
So do the vehicles always go forward then? So is it like a one-way system in and out?
Yes, Councillor, it's a one-way system from
forgive me, Alex. Forgive me, Alex. Are you able to point to your references in the members pack? I'm just trying to find the right map in the members pack. Is there a map in the members pack you could refer to, so we could see it for ourselves?
Gemma can assist me on that one. I haven't got the plan. I won't be able to share it anyway.
Fair enough. But there are a number. I believe I can see the layout here, but and it'd be useful for Councillor Burgess as well. It's, I think, page 55 in the report, but it'd be useful, Alex, if you're able to refer to a map so that it's clear for us all. Yeah.
Sorry, with a site plan, do you want me to display the site plan, Alex?
Yes.
Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, bear with me one moment. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't share my screen at the minute.
I think constitutional. Gerald can take care of it.
Okay, thank you. Is this helpful? Oh.
Yes, that should be okay. That should be okay. So if I can talk the members through. So basically, from Denmark Hill, if you look towards the southwest end of the side, that's where the car parking area is. On the left, at the bottom left, below this building here, on the bottom left, that is where the existing car parking area is, and that will represent where the holding area for the vehicles that will service this site. So once they are called upon, they will deliver to the side there, and then they will go through Windsor Walk to the right, to the east, and then turn left on Grove Lane. And in the middle there, before they hit the Crestbury Park, there's a middle point there where they will turn left onto the side between the school and the existing hospital building. Between the school, they will turn left there, westwards, from Grove Lane, and then they go through the internal route of the site north to exit the site onto the Crestbury Park, and then turn left onto Denmark Hill again, and then leave the site from there.
Okay, thank you. That's much clearer now, much clearer. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Whittam, is that clearer?
Yes, so there won't be any backing and three-point turning. And is the school going to be hoarded off? So is there going to be a hoarding separating the school from
yes, Councillor, is the building side that will be hoarded off. So so basically they have a dedicated pedestrian route on the eastern side of the route anyway. So the construction side will be boarded off, so they wouldn't have any contact with the school at all. So it'll be completely separated.
Okay, Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Britton, for your question. Are there other members with questions? Thank you. And I believe that response, that question and answer session, Councillor Burgess, if you're still there, I can see you, responds directly to your concerns. Would you agree?
Sort of, yes and
okay.
No. I feel like it would be good to really see the detail on the traffic management plan that has been accepted, and it would be really useful to understand if there are any constraints around delivery times, so that all of those, that construction piece is, as I say, really managed and really rationalised in the most sort of tight way possible. You know, I understand that very large deliveries are not going to be able to be transported by sustainable freight particularly, but certainly during the fit out, it would be good to have a commitment to that. So either sort of, you know, low emissions, no emissions freight in order to make that fit out period as sustainable as possible. That would be really useful to see that come into any approval that might be given. But really it's about getting a really buttoned down traffic management plan that goes into the real detail on the conditions.
Okay, so would it be fair if I would suggest that yourself and the applicants, transport people, share that information with yourselves in just satisfying yourselves that the points you've made have been incorporated into the current construction management plan, traffic management plans. If you've not seen it, we're not able this time to go through it in detail, but I'm confident that direct access to officers would enable you to resolve those matters for yourselves.
Sorry, Chair, could I?
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe come in on that
yes,
point?
Indeed. Yes.
Just to say that we have had some very detailed construction environmental management plan, a traffic logistics plan, health and safety plans. They've all been available on our website as part of the current application,
right.
and they have been scrutinised by EPT and by Alex and deemed to be acceptable. So our current approach was to recommend via condition 21 that those documents are conditioned so they comply with all of that detail. I mean, it might be that, I don't know how appropriate this is, the applicant team are here this evening. Maybe they could answer any minor, very specific questions so that we can carry on with that approach and that condition.
Fair enough.
I guess that's open
I'm happy if David is handy there. I can't see him here. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Do you have any comments on what you've heard?
No, absolutely, and we'd really welcome the opportunity to provide that, because we've done significant amount of work on this, and I think it will allay the councillors Burgess's concerns around it. So if I could ask one of my team to quickly respond to it. Just if one of them wants to indicate who is the most appropriate to do this. Hello, can't hear you. Is it Neil?
No, silence. Here you are.
Graham.
Because it's probably Graham, I would suggest.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, it's either me or Stephen, and just to introduce myself again.
Thank you.
Graham Harris. I'm the architect from IBI Group. But I know Stephen Bannon from IHP Contractors, who are the construction team who will deliver this. We have provided a full construction management plan, and it does restrict the times of delivery so that it doesn't overlap with the schools. There are consolidated delivery areas, and the way that the sites are set up in terms of construction sequencing and program timing is that they run one after the other. So you don't get double banking of the numbers of deliveries. and a lot of part of the whole BREEAM assessments and part of the actual construction delivery in terms of sustainability. We have very strict conducts that have to be run and managed as part of the construction team, and as aspiring to zero waste on the site. So I believe a lot of those things are contained in the construction management and delivery plans, and hopefully address all of those things, as Gemma mentioned, which are part of condition 21.
Fair enough, that's fine. Thank you for your responses, and thank you, Councillor Burgess, for your observations. That was very helpful, very helpful.
Is it, sorry, Stephen Bannon here, I wonder if I can just add a bit?
Of course you can, yes, of course.
Sorry, I'm trying to put on the video.
Don't you worry. Can you just ask Stephen, just explain the organisation you work for?
Sorry, I'm Stephen Bannon, I'm the Senior Project Manager for IHP, who's the contractor. I think, as we've said, we have spent an awful lot of time going through the construction environmental management plan. We have developed it, we've been through it and walked the course with the transport assessment as well. So we were out just this morning and previous, about access routes. As people were saying, we have, for deliveries, all the deliveries have to be booked in a proper system. So they can't turn up at one time. So they all get a slot and they're managed in through off Denmark Hill. As I say, they're brought into the car park where they're held. And if they're small deliveries, they can be offloaded there, and it's a storage area, and then you can put them all together. So it's only one larger delivery to the CYP itself. So again, it's restricting the number of vehicles that need to be on the Windsor Walk or Grove Lane. With the school, we've agreed that there's restricted times. We can't do deliveries between, I think it's 8 and 9. So you've got the school drop off, and I think it's 3:30 and 4:30 for the school pickup. So we're not interfering with that traffic or the people or the kids or whatever. We've got a S61 already agreed with the council, so that restricts the noise, the dust and the vibrations. What we have on site is automatic monitors. So these are on 24 hours, 7 days a week, which manage or monitor the noise levels, the dust levels and the vibration. And the way they work is against the S61, where there's a breach level, we actually set them a lot lower. So if we approach that, we all get emails and texts to tell us that we're actually approaching a breach. And at that stage, we can stop, look at the situation and make sure we do something to avoid a breach. So the intention, yes, you may get some breaches ultimately, but the intention is to mitigate those as far as possible. Again, we do have the transport systems, which all the wagons are, the silver Fords, as was set. Because we are doing both projects, sorry, when I say both projects, Douglas Bennett House and the CYP, the Children's Young Person, again, we can consolidate those deliveries. So if you have a wagon coming, it can be for both jobs rather than 2 deliveries. So again, we cut down on the number of deliveries that are coming to site. Again, the one-way system was well thought out, so we don't have to. I can't remember which councillor, but so we don't have to do any reversing or 3-point turns. It's a one-way system, so it's 1, it's safe, and 2, it's economical. Effective, from a safety point of view. Hopefully that helps address some of the issues.
I think it does, and I suppose this is a good example where it's really useful for applicants to have close working relationship with local councillors, and I trust that Councillor Burgess and yourselves will get together following this meeting, and I'm convinced that if we should resolve most the issues raised by Councillor Burgess, which are very well said. Thank you very much for your responses. Thank you again, Councillor Burgess, for your contribution. Colleague members of committee, are there other questions outstanding that we should address before we move on to considering a motion? Are there any other matters? If not, in that case, I'll move forward, and just to ensure that there isn't any further questions, what I would like to do in that case, and consider the motion. And so I would like to move that we adopt the officer's recommendation as set out in paragraph 1 to 2 of the report on page 28 of the main agenda pack. and the motion as follows. That one, that the Planning Committee grant planning permission subject to the recommended planning conditions amended by the addendum report, which you now have in your possessions. The applicant entering into an appropriate legal agreement by no later than the 11th of November 2020. It seems a very short period of time, but anyway. And lastly, the referral to the Mayor of London. And two, that in the event that the legal agreement is not entered into by the 11th of November 2020, the Director of Planning be authorised to refuse planning permission for application 28P 1302, if appropriate, for the reason set out in paragraph 203 of this report. And before I ask for a seconder, if I could just clarify the date at which the applicant has been asked to enter into legal agreement no later than the 11th of November. Can someone just clarify that's correct?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So that's based on the current agreed extension of time with the applicant. There is a time pressure to get this planning permission through the final stages and issued. We are in reality very likely to agree a further extension of time, but there is a kind of need to keep focused on progressing this as quickly as possible. So we will be referring the stage 2 to the GLA later on this week, and we are hoping to progress the Section 106 agreement as soon as possible. But obviously, following the outcome of tonight's meeting, we are very likely to agree a further extension of time.
But the motion, of course, the motion says by no later than the 11th of November. Why don't we simply adjust this date? It seems an unrealistic date. I'm sorry I didn't pick this up early on.
Yeah, I think that would be appreciated, Chair, because I mean, it is unrealistic, as you say. I mean, this is a target date, but we want to have a target date we've got a chance of achieving. So, yeah.
Your recommendation, John, please. Your recommendation.
31st of March. No,
fair enough. I'm happy with that, unless there are fine. I'm not his head.
2021. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I have now adjusted that. Okay. 1 second. Let's go back here. So the motion now reads: the applicant entering into an appropriate legal agreement by no later than the 31st of March 2021. And the last bullet point, and then followed by the referral to the Mayor of London. And then secondly, that in the event that the legal agreement is not entered into by the 31st of March 2021, that the Director of Planning be authorised to refuse planning permission for AP 28P 1302, if appropriate, for the reasons set out in paragraph 203 of the report. Can I seek a seconder? Is there a seconder?
I'll second that, Chair.
Very good. In that case, then, I will now go to the vote. And I will ask members to confirm if they are for, against, or abstain on the motion. Okay, so if I can start with Councillor Morell, are you for, against, or abstain the motion?
For, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Richard Livingstone, for, against, abstain.
For, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor O'Brien, for, against, abstain.
For, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Dan Whitehead, for, against, or abstain. Councillor Dan, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Got that, thank you very much. Councillor Kath Whittam, for, against, or abstain.
For, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Bill Williams, for, against, or abstain.
For, Chair.
Thank you. And I'm Councillor Martin Seaton, and I'm for the motion. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you all for your contributions. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. I'll continue on. It's 8:10, and I will now go to the next item. I'll just go to the right section, and assume officers are ready. I will now move on to item 6.2, Skipton House, which is 80 London Road, London SE16LH, and pages 1 to 97 of the supplemental agenda pack number 1, and this is pages 5 to 10 of the addendum report. can I ask Officer considering report to introduce himself, and you can begin your presentation.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just...
Can I ask you to introduce yourself again, please?
Okay. Yes, my name is Sonia Watson, and I am the case officer for the report and presenting it tonight.
And I suspect you have a plan B, of course.
Do I have a plan B?
Oh, I find in life it always helps.
Oh, my iPad. Ah, it's going to work.
Righty. I share your. Oh, there you are. It has worked. There you are. There you go.
Okay, just.
There's always a slight delay.
Move. Oh, there we go.
There you are.
Okay, there. Right. First of all, I would like to draw members' attention to the addendum matters in respect of this item. It's noted that 2 further letters were received following the publication of the reports. There are some clarifications and corrections to reports, including the provision of additional conditions. The building is located in the centre of Elephant and Castle Central Activities Zone, north of pedestrianised Elephant Square. The site is situated immediately to the rear of the Elephant and Castle Bakerloo Line Underground Station, fronting London Road to the southwest, Ontario Street to the west, and Newington Causeway to the east. Immediately to the rear of the existing building and adjacent to the north boundary of the application is the Perry Library, and beyond the newly constructed 251 Southwark Bridge Road, former Eileen House, which is just in the north of the there. The current building is a modern 1990s, early 1990s, 6-storey plus office block, currently occupied by the NHS, who have a lease arrangement which expires in December 2021. The site is in a highly accessible public transport zone and is in the PTEL of 6. The proposal is for the provision of 6 additional stories as well as the part demolition and recladding of the existing building to provide a gym, shops and central atrium entrance to the ground floor office space on the upper floors. Let's go to the proposed development would result in an uplift of 21,375 square metres of office floor space, with a total provision of 41,625 square metres, as well as the provision of retail and gym space on the ground floor. This is supported in local and regional planning policies, which encourage the provision of employment uses within the CAS and close to existing public transport infrastructure. The proposed increase in office floor space would make a significant contribution towards regeneration of Elephant and Castle as a town centre and employment destination. The application will provide 1,720 square metres of affordable space, which would equate to 9.8% of the uplift in the GIA. This would be provided as a combination of office and retail space. 883 square metres of affordable office space would be provided as a flexible area at first floor level. This would be capable of being subdivided into a number of small or micro units. Rental terms would be 70% of the market rent for the space. The applicant estimates that a full market rent would be £50 per square foot. 70% of the rent would therefore equate to £35 per square foot. A rent-free period of 6 months would be offered to incoming tenants. The retail space would be provided as 5 retail units facing London Road. These units range in size from 36 to 340 square metres. The application defines them as being within Class A1, A2 or A3 retail sales, services or cafe restaurants. These retail units will be provided at 70% of a market rent. Since market rent would be in the region of £30 per square foot, the discounted affordable rent would be £21 per square foot, and a rent-free period of 1 month would be offered to incoming tenants. The retail space would be restricted to eligible tenants defined in the Section 106 agreement as either a trader displaced by the Elephant Castle Shopping Centre redevelopment, a registered charity, social enterprise or voluntary sector organisation, a business trading from or living at an address in the borough with no more than 3 premises. It is recognised that the time of development may mean that some space may not be beneficial, so retail is displaced from the now vacant shopping centre. The mix of uses for the development would accord with the relevant planning policies. The increase in employment floor space would make a significant contribution towards the floor space required to meet the existing and emerging jobs targets for the opportunity area as set out in the London Plan. The development would include affordable office space in line with the emerging NSP and draft London Plan policies. The vision of active town centre uses and permeability through the site at the ground floor level would also strengthen routes towards the centre of the area in accordance with the Elephant and Castle Opportunities Area SPD. I'm going to have to apologise because my computer has now, my internet connection has lapsed on my computer, which is what I'm reading from. So I've kind of got a blank screen at the moment where it's trying to reconnect to the server. We're back. Right, design. Public realm. The extensive pavement space in front of the building is to be improved to provide a high quality pedestrianised area that will be a positive addition to the Elephant and Castle public realm. However, the additional accommodation within the building means greater number of users to the Elephant and Castle area in general. The ground floor of the building, where it faces London Road, would be set back to form an additional area of public realm in the form of an arcade. This coincides with the line of shops along this facade. This will create an improved route across the space in front of the building from London Road to Newington Causeway. Proposed development is situated within the opportunity area and has excellent transport accessibility, and a location where tall buildings are considered appropriate. At 13 stories in height, it would make a positive contribution to landscape. It would have high quality architecture and relate well to the surroundings at ground floor level. The proposed additional floors would not be visible in strategic views, and the proposal is not considered to harm the Grade 2 listed heritage assets of the Metropolitan Tabernacle or the Faraday Memorial. Equally, the proposed extension is not considered to harm nearby conservation areas of Elliott's Row, St George's Circus and West Square. It should be noticed that in their stage 1 response, the GLA support the principle of a tall building and considered that there would be no harm to the setting of nearby listed buildings. Neighbouring impacts. The site is in a dense central London area identified as an opportunity area where substantial change is anticipated. The neighbouring daylight and sunlight assessments demonstrate a 91.9% compliance with the vertical sky component and a 97.4% compliance with the no skyline test. The impacts in terms of sunlight are largely confined to 251 Southwark Bridge Road and Metro Central Heights, North Block. The majority, 88.5% of the rooms assessed, will satisfy the BRE guidelines in terms of daylight and sunlight. It is acknowledged that the proposed increase in height to the existing building would result in some impacts to the adjoining buildings in terms of their daylight and sunlight and outlook. However, the overall impacts are largely due to the existing winter gardens and setback living spaces in terms of the properties at Eileen House. The majority of the adjoining properties will not be significantly impacted by the proposal. Furthermore, the previously agreed developments for the site included buildings ranging from 7 to 39 stories in height, and this would have resulted in more significant impacts when compared to the current scheme. The proposal would remove the existing basement parking of 77 spaces, retaining a single disabled parking bay and cycle parking for 622 bicycles, as well as facilities for cyclists and storage as part of the proposed development. Refuse and HGV deliveries will continue to be serviced from Ontario Street, with smaller light goods vehicles entering the basement area and HGVs servicing the street. To reduce the potential conflict from HGV servicing and cyclists, a condition is added to restrict servicing hours so that they're not before 9:30 in the morning or after 5:30 in the evening, to reduce the conflict with cyclists during peak times. Sustainability. The proposal would result in an overall reduction of carbon emissions equivalent to 36%, with a BREEAM rating of excellent for the office accommodation and the gym, and very good for the shops. This would be in line with the New Southwark Plan. Section 106 has been calculated, and there would be mitigation in respect of archaeology, employment in construction, and as well as Transport for London payments for the relocation of the cycle hire docking station and London signage, and for ticket Northern Line station ticket hall improvements. There's also a payment for trees and bus contribution, and a delivery and servicing management bond. The principle of refurbishing and extending existing Skipton House to provide additional office space is supported by the current and emerging planning policies. Development will provide new employment opportunities and new retail space, would enliven a currently inward-looking facade at an important approach to the Bakerloo station entrance. The uses and the enhanced business offer would support the council's objective of consolidating the Elephant and Castle as a major town centre. The development, just go to some of the images, which shows existing. This is the atrium image, and that's the sort of main elevation image. Officers are satisfied that the proposal is of the highest architectural standard. Furthermore, the proposal provides an appropriate response to context and would not result in the harm to the character or setting of nearby conservation areas or listed buildings. Careful consideration has been given to the impact of the proposal on residential amenity, and it is not considered that it will cause substantial harm such that would justify refusal of the proposal. Overall, the scheme would offer many benefits to the area, and subject to conditions and the Section 106 agreement, is recommended that planning permission is granted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. You might work well, huh? That's fine, that's fine. Are there any questions from members, first of all? I can take those. Any questions? Councillor Livingstone?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I just wanted to explore the ecological impacts of this development, which is set out in paragraphs 165 to 171. Slightly concerned about the loss of 2 trees, although I note the point about re-provision. I think, you know, one of the things that I am a little concerned about looking at this is it does feel as if there's a lot of hard surface that's being created outside the perimeter of the building, but within the footprint of the overall development, and whether more thought could have been done to having a sort of greener landscape in some of those areas, and looking at things such as sustainable urban drainage and other issues, because it does feel as if it's a lot of, as I said, you know, those 2 triangles outside the site, outside the station, and also on London Road, and also the junction between London Road and Ontario Street. It looks as if more could have been done there, but doesn't seem to have been. So it's really sort of officers' comments on that in terms of what more could have been done about creating some green space, and if there's anything more we could do to perhaps condition further exploration of that, and particularly also looking at sustainable urban drainage in the area.
Forgive me for interrupting though, if I may, Councillor Livingstone. So you may not be used to me saying this, but the report, the application is the application is the application. Okay, and I think you're seeking modification to the layout and design. I suspect that question might be more appropriate for the applicant, because the application is the application. Do you have any specific question on the report proper? I suppose.
So my question was really about whether there is given those deficiencies which appear to be in the report, whether there's any comment on those deficiencies. And the second point was, given those, whether officers' advice is whether that is something we could seek to remedy through condition if we were to approve this.
Thank you, Councillor. I think the issue around the hard surfacing that you raise is again about accommodating a lot of pedestrians. So it's trying to allow people to walk through the area, as there's a lot of people coming up from the underground and off the buses and so forth. So there's a reason why it's quite a lot of hard surface, and I think you know, possibly looking at, I think, a porous surface treatment might be something that we could condition, but there is a landscaping condition on there anyway, and so we could maybe make that a bit more tighter in what we ask for in the terms of the hard landscaping. But we could ask the applicants to comment on that.
Thank you, that's helpful. Thank you.
Very good, thank you for that. Thank you for your response. Thank you for the question, Councillor Livingstone. Councillor Vine.
Thank you, Chair. Just looking at that last rendering that you left up there, what is your impression about the harm that the development site's having on the ticket hall? Because it looks to me quite substantial harm in terms of overbearing over the ticket hall and its design.
I don't know if Martin wants to take this question.
I'll have a go at it. Yep, it's obviously a big building. That is true. It's quite a big building at the moment. One of the things that it is interesting to reflect on is that this is going to be an area of very big buildings, and this is not the first application for this site. There was a bigger proposal before. So, and certainly in terms of height, it was a lot bigger. I think that's kind of just the way it is. In terms of being overbearing, I think this is quite an interesting building. I think it's a very elegant one, but it's also quite a neutral one. There's not a huge amount of decoration on it. It's not trying its best to be assertive, other than just be really quite elegant. And I think to that extent, I think it actually provides quite an interesting backdrop to the ticket hall. I think it allows the ticket hall, absolutely free to disagree with me, but that's our kind of assessment. I think it's far from the ticket hall being lost in a kind of camouflage of huge decoration behind it. I think it actually stands forward quite nicely from the sort of relative neutrality of this building.
Thank you very much.
You're grinning there, Councillor, but we'll you're free to come back.
Yeah, no, it's okay, Martin. Maybe a further question that Councillor Vine may wish to give to the applicant or their agent. It's a very useful one. Are there further questions from committee members? Thank you. In that case, and I note that there are, and if the Constitution could confirm that there are no registered objectors to this application. If that's
correct,
the case.
Yes,
very
sir,
good.
that's correct.
Thank you very much. In that case, I'll move on to the applicant or applicant agent. I believe we have a David Corsten here from Piercy & Co.
Good evening. Yeah, it's David Corsten from the Architects.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. I am going to nevertheless ask you please to formally introduce yourself just for the minute, and also confirm the name of the organisation that you work for. Once you've done that, I know that you have a number of other colleagues here who are available to respond to questions later on. That's fine. Once you've made your introduction, I'll then give you 3 minutes to make your presentation. At 30 seconds, I'll indicate that you have 30 seconds remaining. So can I ask you please, just for the record, to formally introduce yourself and organisation you work for?
Yes, good evening. My name's David Corsten, and I work for Piercy & Company, who are the architects of the scheme.
Very good. You may begin your presentation now. You have 3 minutes.
Well, thank you to the officers for their presentation and to the members for their time this evening. In terms of background, our client gained resolution to grant planning approval back in 2016 to demolish Skipton House and replace it with a 39-storey new build scheme. This was not delivered because an agreement with South Bank University and the council could not be reached. And in the revised proposal we are presenting today, the site is entirely owned by London and Regional and is deliverable. Skipton House is located within the CAS, the town centre, and the Elephant and Castle Opportunity Area, and our proposals meet the various planning policies through the delivery of mixed-use, employment-led development. The increased office provision responds to the borough's increasing demands for new business floor space, while the proposed mix of flexible retail, commercial, and gym uses would help to strengthen Elephant and Castle as a town centre, shopping, and leisure destination. The existing 7-storey structure and basement of Skipton House will be retained, and this retain and reuse strategy will save a significant amount of embodied carbon in comparison to the previous new build proposal. It also means that the building height is limited to 6 additional storeys, 13 storeys in total, due to the limited capacity of the existing steel structural frame. The new precast concrete and glass cladding is designed to minimise overheating in the offices, maximise internal daylighting and reduce energy use. And the landscape bays and precast concrete frame create a simple gridded base which is crowned with a sustainable timber structure and inset landscape winter gardens. At the base of the building, the public realm is currently crowded, cluttered and in poor repair. Our proposals retain the good quality trees, improve the landscaping and pedestrian flows, and create a new south-facing colonnade. By moving Skipton House's entrance to its east side, pedestrian flows are improved and overcrowding reduced. And the previously blank ground floor frontages are activated with new retail, affordable retail, gym and office demises. Finally, the new offices will be BREEAM Excellent and Fitwel accredited. They are designed to be flexible spaces that can adapt to the changing work patterns that we have witnessed more recently. They will attract a range of business sizes and types into the area, and there is provision for affordable workspace. All the tenants will benefit from open access to stairs, light and movement in the dynamic new atrium space, which can also be used for a variety of events and includes a 3-storey 7th floor winter garden. The proposed scheme has been developed through a detailed
time is up.
Process.
Time is up. Thank you.
Relevant consultees and key local stakeholder groups and members of the public. So in conclusion,
your time is up now.
Sorry.
That's it.
Shall I stop?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And that's of course a colleague member. Councillor Whittam, you have a question.
I'm interested in what your concluding paragraph would be.
Thank you.
If you'd like to let us know.
Thank you. In conclusion, our proposals creatively reuse, extend and reclad the existing building. This sustainable approach is allied with public realm improvements and will create new, flexible, excellent quality office space. And our project team are in attendance should members have any questions. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you very much. Councillor Whittam, yes.
Yes, just following on from Councillor Livingston's point, in paragraph 168, it says a biodiversity champion is proposed to be appointed to monitor environmental detrimental activities. Is that appointed by the company who are building it, or is it by the council?
I think I'll pass you over to Stuart, who's in.
Sorry, is that but for which is that Stuart Pierce or Minty?
Hi, Chair. Stuart Minty here, planning consultant, SM Planning.
Very good. Can you respond to Councillor Whittam's question?
Sure. Thank you, Councillor, for your question. I think that question is subject to planning condition. Something that's obviously in the officer's report. Well, something we're certainly happy with as a planning condition.
So it's you that's appointing this biodiversity monitor champion. It's the company who's building it that's appointing somebody to do that. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so. Yes. The construction phrase is a little unclear. We've submitted a draft construction and environmental plan, which is going to be secured via a legal agreement, and I would think that aspect would form part of that process. So once hopefully consent is granted, that would be a separate stage via the kind of legal agreement sign off.
Right. Okay. So, but it forms part of.
I'm sorry. Forgive me, Councillor Whittam. I'm not sure. Make sure I've understood the response. So, who will be appointing the biodiversity champion? Stuart, can you respond to that?
Sure. Yeah, and I think the applicant would be happy to do that. My understanding is the council would require a degree of certainty of that happening. So I would expect it would be through the legal agreement process for the applicant to appoint the biodiversity champion, and then to provide details of that to the council for their sign off.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll clarify that with officers. Thank you, Councillor Whittam.
That's fine, thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to go to Councillor Whitehead, followed by Councillor Livingstone. Councillor Whitehead.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering in connection with the proposed site. So obviously, given the current environment that we're in, there is at least speculation that commercial properties there'll be lower demand for them in the coming future. And therefore, I'm wondering to what extent is the applicant confident that they have sufficient demand to serve the proposal that they have put forward tonight? And are there any current interested parties in becoming tenants?
Forgive me, Councillor White. I'm going to allow the question, but it's. I think we need to really stick to the report. We are about buildings and the general policies around buildings. The future occupancy is a risk for the applicants, really. It's not really a matter for the committee, but I'll allow the question if the applicant wishes to respond.
We have Jeff here who's the client. I don't know, Jeff, if you're able to.
Yeah, Jeff Springer from London Regional, Director for Development, not only in the UK but abroad. Yeah, we wish to develop this site. We have a development pipeline, and we have full confidence in the Elephant Castle and the South Bank for office development. What is happening at the moment with COVID, there's even more reason why new buildings should be built to take over the bad stock that's out there at the present time. as David mentioned earlier, that this is a well-being building which takes into account all the issues that go with COVID and the air conditioning and the way that we run this building. So this is an iconic building, but more importantly, a building of the future, not a building of the past. So we have every confidence that we will be building this when the tenant moves out in 2021.
Very good, thank you very much. Councillor Livingstone.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, no, I wanted to repeat the question I asked officers regarding landscaping within the red line but outside the building itself, about whether there could be more green space or failing that, what more could be done on sustainable urban drainage. And you'd heard the officer discuss porous surfaces and other things in terms of urban drainage, and about whether that is something that could be considered further.
Yes, so the space there is relatively small, the existing space. And as I mentioned, it's very cluttered at the minute with numerous bus stops and signage and stores, including some of the trees, actually. We have removed some of the two of the trees, but that was essentially the worst two trees. And it was to free up the space and actually let the existing trees there breathe a little bit. We've also retained the trees just to the west of the site, and the landscaping in that area in terms of the hardscape will be all new. As I mentioned, we've also created a new colonnade by insetting the ground floor of the building that faces that area. That will be a double height colonnade. So that substantially increases the public space that's there. In terms of greening overall in the building, we've got a fantastic 3-storey winter garden on the 7th floor, which all the tenants can access, which plays into what Jeff was saying about fresh air, views of greenery, the modern office space. We've also got winter gardens on the top 3 floors of the building, which you can see in the render that was presented. We've got a blue roof on the building, and we've got a SUDS system at some of the ground floor areas. So we have worked as hard as we can to sort of maximise the actual meters squared or space at ground floor, maximise pedestrian flows. And the other thing I should mention is we've moved the entrance to the building to the east off Newington Causeway. What that does is it will significantly reduce the overcrowding in that triangular site to the south, and also activate the east side, which you can see as you come out the tube and railway stations. So, I mean, our intention is to green the space as much as possible. It obviously needs to be hard wearing given its location. And in terms of the overall building, we've got a real focus on sustainability, on getting people actively using the building and getting green space and views of green space from every level.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Councillor Livingstone, for your question. Councillor Williams, I can't see you. Oh, there you are. You could ask your question, please.
Sorry, Chair. My question was about cycling and cycle hire from 149, but my question has been answered in 156. I'm happy with that answer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. Are there further questions from committee members? If they're not, thank you very much in that case and for the applicant's agent and your presentation. And I won't move on to the next presentator. I will take a 5-minute break as I've agreed. 5 minutes. It's now 9:15, and we will reconvene at 8:50.